I really love cooking. Really love cooking a dangerous amount. And usually I have my fiance here to talk to me while I cook and hang out, but I don't right now, so I'm going to try to make a YouTube video and share my food tips. I see a bunch of stuff, like there's just constantly, from just a world of stuff on either getting healthier, losing weight, not gaining weight, whatever your goal is. And I also always see that a very small percentage of people can keep more than, 50-pound weight loss off for more than, I think it was 3 years is usually when it starts to creep back. And I'm 22, when I was 18, I lost about 60 pounds, and over the course of a little while, I haven't gained any of it back. And it was relatively easy for me to do, so I'm going to try to share some of that with you, because I think a lot of the reason is because it's all these really unsustainable, restrictive, awful diets. And so I did go vegan and realized that could seem restrictive to some people, but I've never ever missed dairy. I was vegetarian for a long time beforehand. I never really loved cheese or meat, but I did eat quite a bit of it, and I found that as long as you put some effort into your vegan cooking, it's just as enjoyable. You don't really have too much to miss. It was really hard for me when I was going back and forth, well, maybe I'll give myself a cheat day. Then it was tough. I was like, well, what more harm would another cheat day do? But when I just decided, that's it, fully vegan, never looked back, super easy. But here are some tips on making your dinners really filling so you're not getting all crabby, because really, what's the point of losing weight if the effects of it make you feel as unhealthy as when you had the weight on you? To me, it seems so pointless to restrict calories just for the sake of getting thinner when there's so many more important things that you can be doing, like being nice to your family and not being bitchy and upset. Let me get my charger. I'm also relatively short, which I always feel like makes it kind of hard to lose the weight, just because every time you gain a pound back, it really shows, and that's kind of discouraging. I'm not super short, but my mom's 5'11", and sometimes she'll be like, oh my god, I gained 20 pounds, and I'm like, oh, I can't tell at all. Alright, you still look thin as always. She can look thin at 167 pounds. It does not make any sense. And then my little sister, she's also super tall. She's 5'9". She weighs a good 20 pounds more than me, and she looks so thin. She's a size 2 sometimes on her big days. I just don't understand it. So, some perspective on losing weight if you don't have those mile-long legs to stretch it out over. So, I am a very hungry person. I tend to eat too much, my eyes are bigger than my stomach, so I put it all on my plate, eat it, feel like I can't really get lazy for a while. It's a bad habit. So I'm recommending not to drink soda. Don't ever drink diet soda. In the long run, you put on more weight because it's very sweet with no calories, and it sort of makes it sweet. Your brain's not recognizing that you're full when you're eating a sweet thing because it gets rerouted to recognize that sweetness with low calories. So you're no longer, when you're eating cake, you're not that rich feeling where you have a couple bites of cake and you're like, wow, I think I can eat more of this. That tends to disappear when you drink a lot of diet soda. But I do recommend this stuff. It's the Craw, or there's also one called Talking Rain, those bubbly waters. They're just carbonated water and fruit essence, and they're so good, but they're not overly sweet at all, and they kind of help you fill up if you're eating that before a meal. Because you're like, oh, okay, you've got that good, satisfied, full feeling, but it'll leave some room to not feeling staggeringly full. I also use a lot of flavor, tons of garlic, lots of salt, lots of rosemary. Because if something's not flavorful enough, then I find myself wanting to eat more because I'm like, that didn't count, that was shitty. But, yeah. So I recommend adding lots of garlic, lots of salt, and then for volume, I cut up a whole zucchini and put it in here, along with my garlic. And this is seitan. It's a gluten-free, you can't have this, but it's a gluten wheat substitute. It's delicious. It's pretty high protein too. 15 grams of protein for 2 ounces of it. It is sort of high sodium. My fiance's on a diet where he needs 10,000 milligrams of sodium a day. So I don't really watch my sodium in conjunction because I'm like watching him pour salt in his Gatorade, so I'm like, I'm relatively good. I mean, I'm not eating Cheez-Its and stuff. So I would totally recommend using whole grains because they'll keep you full longer, and I like the hearty taste of them. If you hate whole grains, I mean, really, I think the key to weight loss is stick to eating things you like. But you can kind of rewire yourself to like it. So I would give it a chance, but if you just hate it, don't eat it because, toss this in here, because I feel like you have to find something that you're going to be able to maintain for the rest of your life, because if not, it's going to come right back on. Like, I've done all those stupid things. I've tried smoothie cleanses and juice cleanses, and those don't work long term for me at all. And they make me feel dumb and tired and winded and spacey, which is the whole point of getting fit in the first place, is that you feel capable and strong and energized. So if you're feeling weak from your diet, then you're being really counterproductive, and then I feel like the diet's just for vanity's sake because you don't feel any better. So I feel like whatever you're doing should be helping you feel great. That should be your first goal. Otherwise, you're not going to stick to it because you're going to look great at whatever weight you're at, and you're probably going to come to the conclusion that it's not worth being miserable to keep the weight off, and you're just not going to stay with the goal. I love whole grain, so I eat it. If you hate it, white rice and white pasta, it's not the end of the world. Or find alternatives. Like for a while, I just hated all pasta, so I would do like spaghetti squash with zucchini noodles. I have a spiralizer. These are actually super salty. I also recommend adding a ton of volume to your food with vegetables. I found I can eat maybe one deep fried spring roll, but I can eat so many veggies. Like, I'll have salad bowls that are straight up like that big. I don't even understand how it's fitting in my stomach. She says it's about the size of 2 fists. When it makes sense. I don't know how, but it will squash up in there and veg. So I would say add a lot of volume to your food with veggies because you can eat it, and it's a good way to pack in the nutrients. It's a great way to pack in the nutrients and still be able to eat some carbs or whatever else you need. This protein, or this pasta is super high protein. It's got 1 second. This is $3.65 organic. I got it at Whole Foods, and it's just as cheap as normal pasta. It was like 99 cents. It might have been on sale though. 1 gram of fat, 200 calories per quarter cup, 7 grams of protein, and 5 grams of fiber. So it's really not bad, especially when paired with the 15 grams of protein in the seitan and all the veggies we're putting in. I'm going to add some chickpeas that I put in the crock pot earlier. So they're ready to go now. And you can always do that yourself when you're heading to work for them in the morning. Got something to do that. And yeah, I load up on the spinach because then I know that I can always just eat half of it and eat the rest later. Whew. And I do think it's important to eat a lot of food while you're trying to lose weight, because unless you have some superhuman willpower, at some point your body starts screaming at you that it wants you to eat more again and return back to your old weight. You're hungry, you're cranky, you don't have the motivation to have your willpower, you're not feeling like you're seeing your results fast enough, why are you feeling miserable for this? And then you have one of those days where you're like, alright, fine, I'll eat half this loaf of bread and 4 bowls of oatmeal, and peanut butter is healthy, right? So I can eat half a bowl of that and mix in some brown sugar. It kind of tastes like cookie dough. Not that I've ever been doing, whatever. But yeah, I think it's important to stay relatively full, or else you eat it all back. So if you eat tons of veggies, make your food taste really awesome. You're not going to feel all sad and like you're on a diet. You're going to feel like, holy shit, I know food can make me feel this happy and this satisfied and good. And you'll realize why healthy people are so annoying when they're spouting off their stuff, because you're like, holy shit, I've been really miserable before, and now I feel really good. And it's kind of important that people aren't sitting around feeling miserable. I want to help them feel good too. And I feel like you just hear so much bullshit advice, like you should be high carb, low fat, you should be high fat, high salt. I saw that recently because apparently you can't absorb fat as well with it. You should be gluten-free, you should be paleo, you should be mostly eating gluten. You don't want carbs, carbs are bad, carbs are good, fat's bad, fat's good. And I feel like the reason people are so passionately fighting for each one is because that's what works for them. And it's important to remember that what works for you isn't sustainable long-term for everyone. Like, I can never do something where I'm mostly eating sweet food because I don't really care about sweet food, so I feel deprived and miserable when I'm doing that. But people that love sugar, then yeah, raw till 4, where you're mostly eating fruits and sweets and adding sugar and all that, that might be wonderful for you. And everyone gets so obsessive about what works for them. And it's great to share, I think, what worked for you. Like, obviously, that's what I'm trying to do. But I don't think people are wrong because it didn't work for them. It's just everyone, obviously, our bodies all work a little differently, and we crave different things. And so just find what you can actually stick to. And if it's sustainable for you and it's good for the planet, then you should probably do it. And so I do advocate that. I think there is a version of veganism for everybody. But I mean, you're going to have a different variation of that. Like, maybe you need to load up on fast to feel satisfied. And I really do think it's important that whatever path you're doing is a vegan path, because it's not about just your own health or vanity. It's about the planet and the animals. And I can get really annoying vegan-y about this. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I'm a vegan, because vegans are so obnoxious about it. But once you get it, you do get why they're so obnoxious about it. It's really, really, really important to you. And I'd rather rant about it to the internet than guilt trip all my friends about it. So, yeah. Alright, so if you ever want recipes, this is an Alfredo. I'll put nutritional yeast on it with spinach, chickpeas, seitan, zucchini, and whole wheat pasta in whatever ratios you feel satisfied with. This Alfredo, by the way, is 57 calories for a quarter cup, which is not bad considering it goes a long way. Yeah, so probably those for recipes because I love cooking and why not. Alright, thanks so much. Bye.